as a, thank you, recording is in progress. I am an ASFA grad from the early 80s. And so this school means a lot to me personally because I spent a lot of time as a student here, but also now in my 6th year as the chair of the department. Has been extremely challenging and rewarding and all those good things in the meantime. I was a principal dancer with American Ballet Theater under Mikhail Baryshnikov, and I was hired into American Ballet Theater by Mr. Baryshnikov when I left ASFA as a student. Our other ballet teacher is Sean Black, who is also an ASFA grad, but also an American Ballet Theater alum. And she was a soloist at ABT. Jamal Barnes is a modern and contemporary teacher, and he joined our faculty. This is his 3rd year, and Jamal danced for Bill T. Jones in New York City and moved to Birmingham to be with us. And then most recently, Margie Cole, who is another modern teacher on our faculty, as ASFA alum as well, has her own dance company called The Dance Collective, which has been based in Chicago for 25 years. And she has made the move to Birmingham from Chicago to become part of our faculty. So we have a world-renowned dance faculty in many areas. We've also added hip hop to our curriculum. So we're trying to broaden our curriculum in order to satisfy dancers' needs for more, because today's world includes a lot more dance styles than when I was a dancer. And in order to do those things, you need to practice them. So we are practicing those types of dance forms as well. We also do a great deal of master classes with other choreographers and dance teachers that come to Birmingham. This guy named George Stabe, who this Alice Stevens Center is presenting, and along with the Alabama Dance Council, has come in. He did a contemporary workshop for our kids on Friday last week. So we have those types of opportunities as well, not to mention our 3 main stage performances, of which we just did one in October. We'll have another one in March, which is our senior choreography project. In order to graduate from ASFA Dance, you must complete a choreography project, which is presented on our main stage and choreographed on the dancers in our department. And then we do a spring show, which is the end of our season, end of the school year, pretty close to graduation time. And then that is our 3rd main stage performance. Our theater is a 500-seat theater. Some of you have seen it and been inside of it. It's absolutely just right for what we do and for a lot of other companies that come in, dance companies, theater companies, musicians come in and rent our theater. So we have opportunities to see a lot of other performances besides our own performances. Today, we did an informal showing of the senior choreography project, which they are collaborating with the visual artist and with the creative writing department. And they did a speed chat session with those kids and found their partners in collaboration. So we've gotten that process underway. We've tried to deepen that experience so that the collaborators and the dancers have a longer thread from the beginning of their collaboration until March, first weekend in March, which is when it will be put on the stage. So hopefully that's becoming even more meaningful in terms of learning how to collaborate, what collaboration is, and all of the elements that come along with that. And that can mean a lot of different things. It's a great thing for our seniors. So if you're in the younger classes auditioning for us, you'll be part of that. Starting in the 9th grade, 7th and 8th graders do not participate with that. We want them to have more training before we get with that, but they do appear in that performance in a separate number that I stage for them. So we've got a lot of interesting things going on. We do, in normal times when we're not in a pandemic, we do outreach programs, which is when we go into the communities, and sometimes we go all over the state for those. Jerome and I have been in a lot of different places together. And sometimes we do them in the local area as well. But we also do something called Inreach. And again, we haven't done these since pandemic. And the Inreach is when the people from the outside come to our theater and see our performances, and we put on special performances for them as well. We also perform at the Magic City Art Connection, which is another opportunity for our dancers to be on the stage. The more time we get our dancers on the stage, the better they become and more comfortable they become with the stage. And that's really what we're all looking for. Not every dance student wants to be a professional dancer. Some wants to be choreographers, some want to be teachers, they want to be administrators, they want to learn about dance, but not all of them want to become professional dancers, and that's okay. We are in support of dance in general, and my point of view is that as many people as we have in the dance world in any role, the better and the stronger it will be, and the longer it will be maintained. The students of our most recent past we have 3 students in Juilliard right now, which is a very exciting place to be. And a lot of our kids now are applying for Juilliard, but not everybody's a Juilliard student. There are plenty of other wonderful programs and college and conservatory programs that our dancers do get into. George Mason in Virginia is one of them that we do very well with them. They have an excellent program. University of Indiana, University of Oklahoma. These are some of the bigger dance programs. We've had dancers at Butler University, which is a very reputable one, as well as Columbia College of Chicago, and a lot of different places. We notice that our dancers are fairly sought after by these college programs, and a lot of scholarship money goes out to them. And one of the things that's really important to me is that our dancers get to the place where they can receive the most scholarship money, but where they also receive the best fit for their goals, but also their talent level and whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish outside of ASFA. So I think that our dancers are some of the most prepared in the country that go to university and college programs because their experience level here is unparalleled in other high schools. Maybe somewhere else, I don't know. You're not going to get a better faculty. The academics are really strong and challenging, and that's a really good thing. So when you leave ASFA, and if you've done well academically, you have this great academic background, but you also have this artistic background. And a lot of dancers do cross over into learning how to do theater, tech, and all the other electives. So they have a great big pool of knowledge, which is typically really far ahead of your average high school student. ASFA is the second oldest public high school for the arts in the country, next to the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, and they do 9 through 12 and college. And ASFA is more unique in the sense we do 7th grade through 12th grade. So we are unique in that way, and we have been around for more than 50 years. And this school is extremely diverse in its student body, extremely diverse in its student body. And there are a lot of people here that I've learned a lot from already. And I've been out in the world for almost 57 years now. So it's a special place, and not everybody gets in. And our dance department has been the biggest it's ever been since I've had it. And I think the word is out that this is a good place to be if you want to be a dancer, and if you wanted to be in any of the other departments. We are flying high right now, and I'm pretty pleased and happy about that. Our ballet curriculum is based on revolutionary principles of movement, which is the science of dance and how dance works on the human body. And there's been a great deal of study in that. I'm part of that company. I also am a master teacher of that method. So have a look at revolutionary principles of movement if that's something you're interested in knowing more about, because that is the way we teach our ballet. Margie and Jamal teach modern, and they have 2 different points of view on modern, which is really good. I want as many experiences as possible for the dancers in terms of styles. So they have 2 very strong backgrounds, and they are very well versed in all of that stuff. So they are very, very strong on that side of it. We added Erin Cade, who is an ASFA alum, to teach hip hop this year, which was a big move in our curriculum and very exciting move for us, keeping us current. When you're current in the dance world, you have to be willing to change and do more. And I was a ballet guy my whole career, and the world has changed. So I want our students to have the advantage of what we bring to the table in terms of training in different styles as well. A typical day, you start at 8 o'clock in your academics, and then you come to your fine arts or specialty. We call it specialty now because math and science is not a fine art. But we have 2 o'clock until 5:30 in the afternoon, which starts with either a modern or a ballet technique, which is an hour and a half most days. And then you have 2 hours of training after that, and probably a rehearsal or a different style of dance from the technique class that you had previously. Sometimes we do work after hours. After 5:30, we have residential, which has to take a break at 5:30, our residential students, so that they can have dinner. And then sometimes we'll come back at 6 to 7:15 or something like that. We don't do that very often, and we try to keep our schedule very consistent so that the non-residential students have a very regular schedule and their parents are clear on what happens for them on a daily basis. So pickup is at 5:30. And the reason I don't have any other faculty members with me right now is we have 3 studios, 4 faculty members, and the other 3 the 3 studios right now are being taught by all the faculty. So they may join me here in a few minutes, or they may not, depending on how many questions we get and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the overview, and that was kind of blabby of me, but sometimes better too much information than not enough. Maybe the thing to do now is to take a few questions and see if anybody has stuff to ask me personally about the program.
Would you mind talking about the audition requirements and how a student would prepare for the audition?
Well, we ask that everybody has at least 3 years of dance training prior to coming to ASFA. And the reason for that is we don't teach beginners. Most 7th graders are almost 12 years old or 12 years old. So hopefully you've had some training before that time to come to us. You have to make a video, you have to fill out the application. The application process is not too terribly difficult, but it's something you need to work on and get going on so that you have your videos ready that you can submit and do all the work that it takes for that process. And then once you've put your application in and we've reviewed your videos, then we'll invite you or not invite you to the audition, which is held here at the school. And then you'll have an audition, which is actually going to take place on the senior choreography performance weekend. That way you can stay in Birmingham if you're from out of town and see the performance that evening, which I think is a nice segue into, having the synergy of the audition and seeing the performance and being in the school. It's really, really an exciting day if you're auditioning for ASFA. Other questions?
Hi, what is your thought on other training while you're at ASFA? My daughter is worried about leaving her home studios, and she was just wondering about if that's allowed.
A lot of people ask me that about, my kid's going to miss their studio. Of course you do. You're going to miss friends and your comrades and all those good things. A lot of times what happens is that there's a little bit of time where, you go home on a weekend if you're a residential student, and you take class with your buddies on the weekend and on a Saturday, for example. And then there's a time where that becomes tiresome because you're tired from the week of what you're doing here. If things do not interfere with your ASFA schedule, we ask that ASFA be your number one. And if those don't interfere, I don't really have a problem with that. what I have a problem with is I need 3 weeks off because we're going to do dance competitions in Las Vegas and I'm going to miss school. And is that going to be okay? No, that's not going to be okay. You know, mainly because your academics are going to be suffering as well. So I'm fine if you want to do a little bit here and there, as long as it doesn't interfere with your ASFA schedule.
Can you talk a little bit more about the video and what goes on the video and how to prepare for the video?
The preparation is with your dance teacher, and you just go down the list and you do the things on the list on the video. It's you know, making those videos is not fun, but it's really the only way, and it's especially not fun for your teachers. But it's the only way that we can see you prior to the audition, so that we feel like we're getting you to the right place or not.
And for those of you that have not had a chance to look at the actual audition requirements, there's bar work as well as center exercises that you will present on the video.
That's right. Any other things? I know there's probably lots. Don't be shy, because you know, if you're going to be an ASFA dance parent, we're going to be knowing each other, because my main goal is for us as a team to raise your kid and to raise them in the dance department. And that means academically. And if you're in the residential as well, then, you know, there's a lot that goes on there in terms of taking care of your kid. And I talk a lot about with parents, you know, that we're on the same team, because I don't do the ugly parent conversation. Why isn't my kid doing whatever? No, we don't have those troubles, because I'm fair and equitable in the dance department. So I want you to know that, because I don't have ugly, nasty conversations with people. That's just not what we're going to do. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And it's just, you know, life's too short to be acting like that. So I don't behave that way, and we're on the same team. And my ASFA dance families, they love that, because they feel like they have help on our end in terms of helping to raise your kid. And what I mean by that is dance educating your kid. So that's an exciting thing, to have some help.
I have a question in regard to residential life. If my daughter were to get in, she would need to reside there. I felt really confident at the tour, listening to several students talk about residential life. I learned that they feel safe. That was very important to me, that they feel safe. But in regard to the weekends, I understand that it's customary that most go home on the weekends. But if my student were to remain on the weekend, what does that look like?
You know, our residential staff is really good, and they're very experienced, and they know a lot about this. I don't know so much about what they do on the weekends exactly, but I know that they have activities, and they have transportation, so they can go and do things outside of the building. I can't answer that completely, but I do feel confident that they are safe and that they are well taken care of. And, you know, they're teenagers, so they entertain themselves pretty easily, especially with, you know, we're entertained fairly easily by our phones now. There's so much available.
Yes.
And if I could add one thing, we have resident assistants who are usually local college students that live in our dormitory with our students, and they plan activities with the students as well. They'll take them on van runs to Walmart and to other activities. But when you are invited to the on-campus audition, you will have an opportunity to meet with our dorm director and talk more about what the residential life is like for an ASFA student. And I encourage you to go to our website, because we have a video on the website that talks about dorm life, and you will hear from an ASFA dorm student about what they do when they're not in class.
Thank you.
That's a good question, though. All right, other questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions, if it's okay.
Sure.
First of all, with once the application process and all of that, if they were invited to audition, when would we know that, or what's the timeline between that and the actual audition, if that were to be the case?
Geronda, I don't know the deadlines and all that stuff.
Okay, I'll be happy to answer that. The application deadline is January 28th. At that point, the dance faculty will receive your child's video and they'll take a look at those. And usually, does it take about a week or two to review those videos, Mr. West? Or?
Yeah, we look at them pretty quickly as they're coming in. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you will hear from us probably within 2 weeks of your submission, or you will hear from us within 2 weeks of the application deadline, I should say. So we're looking at probably the second week in February. Give us at least until, say, Valentine's Day before you give us a call or email us. And the audition day for dance is actually already printed in the application, and it is by invitation. I'll go ahead and give you the date now, but just remember that you'll get an email letting you know if you've been invited to the on-campus audition. But the on-campus audition for dance will be the first Saturday in March 5th, 2022. So you will know well before that time whether you've been invited to come and take class with all the other dancers that are applying for the dance program.
Another question I had is over the summer, is there anything, or is it just strictly academic year, August to May?
we do not do summer training. And the main reason I don't want to do summer training is because I need the summer off. But I want them to go other places and have other experiences. And we had a summer intensive meeting today with the students about, how they're feeling about that. We have headshots done for them and so forth. And I asked how many are going away for summer intensive, and all 43 raised their hand. So that's their plan, is to be away. And, I want them to have that extra layer of training and a different point of view from other people that are going to give them, feedback and correcting their work.
Oh, and those students go on to receive summer scholarships for those programs. We are one of the hosts for the Alabama Dance Festival. And so those students attend scholarship auditions during the dance festival. And many of them will receive, if not full scholarships, at least half or partial scholarships to go to places like Flint Park University. Or help me out, Wes, where else have they gone?
And the list is huge. I can't recite it off the top of my head. The dancers do really well on summer intensive applications and scholarship.
And then the other thing, till 5:30, which I know sometimes it's later than that, is that Monday through Friday. That's right.
Yeah, I try not to do things on the weekend unless it's a performance weekend. And Summer, you saw the performance.
It was great.
You came for the performance. And so that's a weekend that we do work. But we try not to do those a lot because I want the kids to have time to recover, but I also want them to have some family time on weekends if they're going.
So back to the discussion on summer intensives. So is that a process that you all help and guide them through, or is it up to us to find the right summer intensive for our student?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, like I said, we had a long conversation about that today. And, for us to have an individual meeting with every department or every kid in the department is difficult. But what the kids can do is prepare their videos and prepare their, they've got their headshots and their email from me. And all of the things in terms of research and looking into the ones that have the elements that they're looking for. Instead of coming to me going, Mr. Chapman, can you just tell me which intensives I should go to? And I have to whip out the long list and go, okay, well, let's talk about, So we do try and guide them, but we can't do the whole thing for them. And one thing that I talk about with the dancers at ASFA is If you need a great deal of scholarship, then don't look at the schools that don't have scholarship available. You know, so they have to do some of their research, and part of the process of them growing as young students is to learn to do some of the research on their own. Even if they're young, they have all of the electronic equipment available to see that kind of stuff. They have to make the effort so that they can say, oh, this one has more whatever, and that's the reason I want to go to that one. And look, they have financial aid and scholarship, so maybe that would be helpful for, you know, my family to help me get there, and that sort of thing. But we can't like go, okay, Susie Q, here's the best program for you, because it's a little bit subjective.
Thank
And
you.
many of them talk among themselves and their friends, and some of their friends may have gone to Alabama Ballet Summer Intensive in Tuscaloosa last summer. So the younger kids will know, hey, I think I want to do that too, because.
That's right. That's exactly right, Geronda. They do. They have a lot of discussion about the places they've been, and that is helpful for somebody that's not been to that particular.
And Ms. Page, I want to bring your attention to something. My colleague Katie put the link for the dorm video in the chat. So if you want to highlight that.
Hey guys,
Here's
they will be at 6:10 or 6:10.
Thank you.
Pardon us, that was just a dorm announcement about a van run at 6:10. So.
Yeah, I'd muted a little bit there in time. There's a intercom system throughout the building, as well as cameras on every public space. And they were just making an announcement about dorm residential students going to grocery stores.
Yeah. And dinner for the dorm students is every night from 5:30 to 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then the 7th and 8th graders have a required study hall that they attend for at least an hour or two every night in the dorm. And there is a roll call at 10 p.m. every night to make sure everyone is accounted for. The boys are on one end of the hall, and they have 3 male RAs, and the girls are on the other end of the hall, of course. And they have, I want to say, 4 or 5 female RAs, and the dorm is divided by this alarm that you can't access the other side if you're not supposed to be there. If I can add one more thing, unless someone else wants to ask a question, but I want to add this before we start wrapping up. You've heard about the video, but we also would like to have 3 recommendations from your students. And actually, one recommendation comes from the child's current English teacher, one comes from the child's current or recent dance teacher, and then finally the teacher of your choice. Instead of a letter of recommendation, we actually have a form that the teacher will complete. So once you take a look at our application, you will see where it requests the email address for those 3 teachers. So the software will then send the recommendation form to those 3 teachers. And once they complete that and hit submit, it comes back to our principal's office, and they will get a chance to review your child's recommendations. We understand that some dance studios do not want to see some of their best dancers leave us or leave them. So Mr. Chapman, can you talk about a scenario like that where it may be hard to get a recommendation if your studio wants to keep you?
Well, I mean, if a dance teacher is going to play that game, then are they really on your team? I just don't buy any of that. You know, it's just kind of the way it is. I mean, not every kid's going to stay in the same studio the rest of their life. They move on and do other things. So I don't have any recommendation on that. But if a dance teacher is really on your team, they'll write you a recommendation to go to somewhere that's the next level.
And it doesn't have to be the owner of the studio, right?
No, it does not. It doesn't have to be the studio owner. It can be, you know, any teacher in your building, you know, that knows you.
And it could be someone you had previously, if not this year, perhaps.
That's right.
Right. Well, we're gonna give you at least 1 or 2 more minutes before we decide that you must know everything about us. So,
I do have one other question just regarding, and I know this is way ahead and might not even be relevant, but when they do have an audition on campus, do they have things prepared or is it just on the fly, whatever y'all tell them to do?
They're going to take a ballet class and then they're going to have some modern and contemporary, and we'll probably ask them to do some improvisation.
All right.
okay, well, the last thing I'm going to mention is student shadowing. If your child has not had an opportunity to shadow, we would love for them to come and visit us and take class. They would take both the academic classes in the morning as well as the dance classes in the afternoon. And the way you would arrange a shadow visit is just go to our website, look under admissions, and scroll down to campus visits. We're now in the process of scheduling visits for next semester. So the earliest date we have available right now will be January 12th. But we are happy to have your child visit with us either before they submit their application or even after they submit the application. Because again, the audition is not until March. So we'd love to see them perhaps take class with us, and they will get an idea. If they come and take class with us, they'll kind of get an idea of what to anticipate perhaps at the on-campus audition, and it may kind of help ease some of those nerves they may have.
Yeah, shadowing is a really good thing to do. And for all the reasons that Jerron has said, but just to kind of get a feel for how the day goes at ASFA, because it's a big day. 8 till 5:30 is a big day.
But we
And,
only expect the shadows to stay until 4:40. We won't require them to stay beyond.
Right, but I'm just talking that the general day at ASFA is 8 to 5:30. That's a long day.
You're right. Okay, well, at this time, I'm going to stop the recording. And I have one question for everyone before we end. Let me find the stop recording button. Okay, there we go.